Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the GSM's Pride Spotlight. This week I have Dan Hoeflinger with me. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. So
Dan's been with the company for a very long time, so this might take a little bit of a while. Remember when we did Jerry, we only touched on a very small part? Well, that's because it's been here forever. Dan's kind of the same.
32 years, actually. I took 2 years off and went to the mortgage business when interest rates were low and refinancing was very cheap to do. But yeah, I saw them change from the Fords or the Chevy sign, saw them take it down when it was Randy Blunt Chevrolet and put up the Lou Fusz sign.
See, that's history for you. He's been here from the beginning. So let's start off, born and bred St. Louis?
Yes. Born and raised in St. Louis, so is my wife.
St. Louis ask is, what's high school did you
go
go to?
Bishop de Burgh, Catholic
Is it even
boy.
available? Is it still around?
Yeah, they had to close down a few floors because there's less and less enrollment, but it's still there.
Whereabouts is that at?
It's over in South St. Louis, over in Eichelberger and Hampton.
Okay. College after that or not?
No college. Well, I went to college and visited some friends to party on the weekends, but that was it.
So you use the college excuse to
exactly.
go and drink. I get it. That's fair enough. I can't fault you. What about what was your first job outside school?
First job, I actually got had 14 years old. Started as a pot washer at Dominic's restaurant, and moved all the way up to assistant manager to his new place downtown, which is called Premio's.
And that's still open, isn't it, Dominic's?
Yes, Dominic's is still open. Actually, I just visited him not too long ago. He's doing great. Yeah, made it all the way to assistant manager and got married. That was all the way to the age of 25.
And you're still with that wife, right?
Yes. And I met my wife there and was laying on the couch one day and on a Sunday, my only day off, and was looked over at her, and we've been married for about 4 years, and I looked over and I said, you want to have kids? And she goes, not with you. And I was like, excuse me? And she goes, you're always working. You're staying from 8 in the morning until 1 at night, you know? Yeah. She goes, I don't want to be a single parent. So I said, no, I got to quit the job then, huh? She goes, well, if you want kids, but if not, we can just keep on going this way. So Todd Hale, an old buddy of mine that used to be the service or sales manager here, came over and said, hey, we're opening a Ford store. I'd like to have you come along. He came in the restaurant, and I was like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. So it's been history ever since.
So let's talk about your family. You have quite a little clan, don't you?
3 boys. Oldest one, Billy, 30 years old. Nick, who is 26, and John, who is 25.
And you're the only granddaughter,
and one
right?
Granddaughter,
yeah.
Riley Elizabeth, and she's 8 years old. Nicholas surprised me with it at the age of 16. She's been a blessing ever since.
Actually, Billy worked for us he actually was a tech for a while, wasn't he?
He was a porter, a tech, sales, commercial sales, and then went over to Lou Fusz Chevy.
And he's left there, right?
Yes, and he's doing Makita tool sales.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for him. So let's go back to the Ford days. So you were really around when they built it, right?
Yes.
I know the showroom was there. But
yeah, I was going to say it was taken. We walked in, there were cinder block walls with dead ducks on the side because Randy Blunt was a big hunter and stuff like that. And we walked into this place. I'm like, oh my God. Well, first of all, I was nicknamed it Field of Dreams Ford because there was nothing else out here.
Yeah. And
we came up and it was like cornfield. And then all of a sudden you see this Ford dealership. And I'm like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? Out in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah. And then we took it up from there and I saw this place get built. I went through the flood of '93.
I was going to touch on that because
yes.
We haven't had many people that were actually physically here when the flood happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that was a pretty crazy time, right?
It was very crazy. Everybody's running around saying the levee's going to break. So we backed up the cargo vans to the showroom and started unloading computers and files and stuff like that into the cargo vans, driving it up to the mall, driving all our inventory up to the mall. Lou put out the word and all hands on deck, and next thing you know is we had probably a herd of people from all the different stores volunteering because also the rumor had it that they weren't going to pay, the insurance was not going to pay unless we had a sandbag wall around our dealership. So if you weren't moving equipment out of the showroom and parts and stuff like that, then you were sandbagging. So we took everything up to the Chesterfield Mall and inventory and everything and sandbagged and then the levee broke that night and we got flooded. So I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm out of a job.
Do you have a picture of anything on that? Because it was pretty pretty insane. When you see the picture, it actually goes up to the roof lining of the store. And here's what's crazy. We just actually did a renovation down in the service department, which was back then was the showroom. And actually, when we tore all the walls down, we actually saw the line where the water was, and which was really high up on the waste stack there.
Yes.
It was really, really high. So that was pretty cool.
Yes.
So then they built this place in what, 2020? 2000, sorry.
Oh, the new showroom.
Yeah, the new showroom.
Yes, I do believe they built this place in
2000, right?
Yeah, and that was a feat in itself. So it was all neat. We've expanded.
So how long were you in the sales department for before you moved to fleet?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess I've been in fleet for about 7 years now. So it's been a long ride.
What was it like? Because obviously Gary Romeo used to be the GM when you were first here. What's the transition been like since that? Because obviously Gary was the GM for so long that it was a certain way, and then it totally changed. What's that transition been like for you?
Well, I've had actually 3 general manager. You being my third. Charlie Hoffman was my first, and it was suit and tie, no cell phones on the showroom floor. Because that was a personal thing. No computers or anything. I actually bought the first laptop, a ThinkPad, IBM ThinkPad, and had my customers logged into that so I can remember all my customers, and actually built up quite a customer base. And now I am selling them 3rd generation. I'm selling the grandkids of the people I've sold originally. So I originally sold them like Tempos and Escorts and stuff like that, and Bronco 2s and things like that.
And now you're going to be selling the new
exactly.
Broncos.
Now it's all coming full circle, so it's kind of weird.
Because you've got a pretty big client base, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I couldn't even count it all. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, because you have a lot of people coming who've worked with you for so long.
Yes.
What was the transition like going from even though it's still sales to fleet?
A little bit scary because there's a lot more technical stuff you have to do with the fleet sales, and having a bigger responsibility as far as making sure that you're not building a dangerous truck, and making sure you got the weight ratios right, not making sure they're overloaded or anything like that. Dealing with presidents of companies, which is a little bit more nerve-wracking than just your average family. And doing large amounts of vehicles, hundreds of vehicles and stuff like that per year, which is we talked about this the other day. Is it easier to get an account or maintain an account? And we've come up with the decision that it is definitely maintaining an account.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you got to make sure that they're being constantly looked at and shuffling vehicles and stuff like that. So it's a whole different thing. I remember going out and being the walk-around champion on the old retail and walking out and showing them the car and stuff like that. Now everything's done via computer, as far as emails and stuff like that. Well, or you're going to be able to send 10 over here, you're going to be able to send 20 over here and things like that. So it's kind of weird. Half the time I don't only touch the vehicles anymore that I sell, which is kind of weird.
I want to shift gears a little bit. You are a cancer survivor, right?
Yes, I am. I am 9 months cancer-free.
Well, congratulations again.
Yeah. It's a great feeling, a new lease on life.
You don't have to talk about this much if you don't want to. Just tell me no. But what was that like for you, having to go through that? Because I can't even imagine what it's like.
Scary, very scary. And it wasn't for me. It was mainly because of my family. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing, to this day, the worst thing is coming home and telling my wife that I have cancer.
Yeah.
One of the worst moments in my life. I kind of knew it when the doctor told me to get in here right away that I had something going on. But telling my wife was the worst thing.
How did it come about that you even had it?
I had stomach pains, and doctor couldn't fix it with regular medicine and stuff like that. And she said, let's take a scan. And then sure enough, I had that scan that morning, and at noon, I had hours later, I got a phone call, and she says, get in the office at noon. I'll take care of my lunch and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? She's like, you need to be here. I'm like, okay. Driving over there was a long drive, and I was thinking and stuff, and I knew something was up. So I walked in, and I go, cancer? And she goes, yes. That's simple. And then we started talking a little bit more about it and stuff. So, and the neat thing about it is the whole experience. SLU Hospital, St. Louis University Hospital, I was the number 4th patient to do CAR T cell replacement therapy, which is
Like an experimental,
a new thing, and it worked. And out of the 4 people that had it, and I was number 4, 2 have died.
Oh,
So,
really?
which was scary. Yes, very scary on that end too. So,
How long did you do radiation for?
well, the thing is
chemo,
radiation.
yeah.
I was going to say chemo didn't work for me. It was I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, B cell leukemia, and they did regular radiation, and they had me ring the bell, which I was a little bit upset about because I said, we don't know if this is gone. So I rang the bell, and then all of a sudden they announced that I still have it. It did shrink the tumors. I had 7 tumors. It did shrink to 7 tumors in size, and then they started an intense chemo, which is a 3-day, 24-hour chemo. That kicked my butt. That was nasty, and the doctor says I was supposed to get 4 of those, and then he took another scan after that intense treatment. The first one, he goes, this is not working either. So then that's when he said, CAR T cell, let's do that. So it's pretty neat. They take out the cells, the T cells out of your body. It takes all day, and then they send them off to a lab. They modify them to fight cancer, and then they put them back in your body. That takes 20 days to do. And then once it got back into my body, all hell broke loose. There was a big war in my body. Went to intensive. Well, first of all, you got to stay in the hospital for 20 days so they can watch you very thoroughly. But then I had blood clots and stuff like that, and went into intensive care, ICU twice. And there was another thing. Had to incubate, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my wife's sitting there across from me. And again, that was the hardest part, is my wife. Seeing her face and stuff like that. So a lot of times I kicked her out. I told her to go home, stuff like that, because she was just staring at me, which is kind of weird. So it was weird because it made my life better. I got closer to God. I got closer to my family, and I kicked cancer. So I feel good, feel lucky.
Well, like I said, I wanted to touch on that because, it's an experience that's kind of a tragic one, but it's also great that you kicked in and got through. And I think a lot of you, correct me if I'm wrong, I felt that we as a network had supported you a lot. Everyone asked about you all the time.
Yes.
We kept in close contact of what's going on and where you're sitting at and what's happening. Because the other thing is, no one could visit you because of COVID.
Yes, it was all COVID was going on at the time, and I tell you what, the Fusz boys definitely stepped up. The insurance was unbelievable. PJ called me all the time and kept the boys updated and everything like that. And the insurance, that was a $500,000 procedure.
Every time I saw
they could have
one of the
declined.
boys, oh, easily,
Yeah.
Every time I saw one of the boys, I was asked how you were doing. So it was always good on there. Well, the good news is you're free past it now.
Knock on wood, yes, but I do get go back for test every year and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
just to check.
But so far it's all cancer free, completely, 100%. Yep.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's about all I've got for you. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, it's been a pleasure to work for Lou Fusz. It was funny because I joke around as far as, I tell the newbies, new hires and stuff like that, you can look at this as a job or you can look at it as a career.
Yeah.
It all depends on how your attitude is. And I've looked at it as far as a career, and it's very rewarding to do. Working with the public, I love it. Wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't want to move out to management because then I'd have to work with all the
Trust me,
the pie charts and everything like that. But I love the public and I love working with people and I love seeing the grandkids come in. It's weird because a customer just came in today, gave me a big old hug. It's not a handshake anymore; it's a hug.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
You have got very loyal clients, I'll tell you that, because there's times on Saturday they'll come in and say, I'll work with Dan and we'll help them out and do whatever, and then they come back Monday or Tuesday or whenever and deal with it, which is good to see, because a lot this day and age, unfortunately, that loyalty isn't around that much. People don't care who they work with.
Well, the internet's changed quite a bit of that. It's like whoever has the best price, I'm going to go to that one, even if it's from.
I'll tell you a quick story. There used to be a guy,
away.
I won't say his name because it's pretty famous in St. Louis, but there used to be a guy at Plaza that used to come in all the time and trade all the time, but he'd never deal with one person. It's like you bought like 100 cars there and you don't ever deal with the same person. It was just weird. You'd think someone who does it that often would want to build a relationship with somebody and just use one person, but he would just come in and just deal with whoever. And it's why are you doing that? It's weird.
Yeah.
But, it's unfortunately, it's just something that's kind of shifted that way a little bit.
A lot of my customers have become my friends. I've been to lake houses and stuff like that with them, and partying and all kinds of stuff, and out to dinner, and it's pretty.
When you went down to Table Rock, you went to Wayne's house, didn't you?
Yep.
Yep. It's good to see.
Yeah.
Well,
it's fun.
As much as we give you crap, Dan, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
I wouldn't have it no other way.
I was going to touch on it, but I'll very briefly touch on it. Math for Dan is an extremely tough subject. Yeah. We literally have a saying called Dan Math.
Damn it, yep.
But thanks for watching this week. I really hope you enjoyed it. And as always, over at Fusz Ford, we can replace the car, but not the customer. And I'll see you all next week.